Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to make an announcement with you guys. I was just meeting with our staff. We were talking about what would it look like to reopen. It was such a refreshing conversation, and I hope those times are coming soon. Certainly Governor Wolf's announcement tomorrow, and also talking with my state overseer and what he requires. They've given us a packet of what they'd like to see happen in churches as far as the cleaning goes and what it actually looks like to reopen and the different kind of phases. I wanted to just address something with you guys, and Brian brought up an excellent point in staff meeting about coming together in a spirit of thanksgiving. Because certainly we could come together in our own hearts with our own opinions about what the church should look like. I know some people are on the side of like, we need to be careful, we need to be cautious, and this thing, and some people are on the other side where we don't need to be cautious. This is fine. It's over. It's done. And we just need to get back to life as normal. I just wanted to say this. How about if when we gather together, we just gather together and we're thankful that we get to be together, and that we're just thankful that we get to see each other. And it might not be church as it usually was, but it's us getting together and beginning to get back to somewhat normal. And that we would just be excited for that, and excited to see each other's faces, and excited for our kids to see each other's kids again, whenever that might be. But we're waiting to hear what Tom Wolf has to say about what regions look like on Friday, and I'm also scheduled to have another phone conversation with the state overseer. So news will be rolling out hopefully next week on maybe what it will look like to reopen the church and get back to somewhat of our church setting here at Praise. Thank you guys so much for joining us online and just staying with us during this time. Thank you guys so much for your giving. You guys have just blown my mind. I always have high expectations for you guys, but I'm just very proud of all of you. So I just wanted to say thank you. I also just wanted to just kind of give you a preview of what Sunday's about. If you guys wanted to read 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel and look at all the times where God's involved throughout that book, what you'll end up having is God is front heavy in the front of the book. And then when you get towards the back of David's life, there's not much God interference. And you don't hear about God doing much. You don't see David necessarily with the same posture that he had at the front of the book. And I was reading that the other day, and I felt like the Lord said this: whatever you tolerate, you help create. And he's just been running that phrase through my head: whatever you tolerate, you help create. For those of you who are parents, for those of you who are teachers, for those of you who have oversight over individuals, you understand that there's a culture that's created when you bring people together. And there's good and bad within that culture. And if you don't confront what's wrong, you actually help what's wrong grow. And that's true in our own lives, in our own walk with the Lord. If you don't confront what's wrong with your walk with the Lord, if you don't confront the lack of God in your life, you guys actually help it to grow. And that's what the Lord's been showing me. And I know that he wants to communicate that with you this week. If you let what's wrong grow, the back part of your life will look nothing like the front part of your life. That excitement that you had with Jesus, the things that you got to see him do, that walk, that closeness, that time with him, if you let that go, right? You will try to confront life without God, and you might end up being crushed by it. What if David wasn't walking with the Lord, but he confronted Goliath without God? What do you think would have happened? He would have been trampled. That would have been a joke. That fight would have never went the way that it did. Because with God, all things are possible. See, Christ is in you, but you got to remember that you are in Christ, and we must choose to abide. When you don't choose to abide, then you don't have fruit. You don't have his eyes, you don't have his ears, you don't have his heart, you don't have his desire, and you don't have his motive. And without any of that, what is it that you're actually going to produce? See, if we would understand this, that with God, all things are possible, but without him, we can't bear anything. Everything that we do comes from the wrong heart. And there's a lot of confrontation that needs to take place during this time. Things need to be confronted. But if you dare confront it without the Lord, I am telling you, it's not going to go well. But that we need the Lord in this hour more than ever, especially when it comes to confrontation. But you must confront your lack of him in your own life before you confront the world and where it's at. Because you don't want to confront the world without him. That just wouldn't go well. So this week, I just want to encourage you guys, we are going to get into 1st and 2nd Samuel. We're going to look at a confrontation that took place early in David's life, and then we're going to look at a confrontation that took place later in his life, and they're completely different. And what I would have for you, and the reason why the writers are so honest in those books is so that we would learn the lessons that are in them, and that we would understand that what ended up taking place in David's life, the part of his life is so sad. It is a tragedy, and that does not have to take place with us. And so I want us to look at that story together and really understand and make sure that we confront the lack of God that might be in our lives right now before we have to confront the world and what's wrong with it. Okay? I'm excited for this Sunday. You guys tune in. It's going to be awesome. All right. Talk to you then.